Hi everybody, this is the probability and set theory package for IB, and this is the section on conditional probability. This is example 13. Polygraph or lie detector tests are generally not very accurate. Suppose a polygraph is 70% accurate. That is, if you lie, the polygraph indicates so 70% of the time. And if you tell the truth, the polygraph indicates so 70% of the time. So there we go, that's what that means. So, assume the average person is truthful 90% of the time. Complete the following probability tree below here. Now, this probability tree this is an excellent way of taking stock of probabilities. Now, I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit here so you can see the whole thing here. Okay, so here we go. Telling the truth and lying. So we know that there's a 0.90% of the time people are going to tell the truth, and 10% of the time they're going to lie. Now, if someone's telling the truth, we've already been told here that 70% of the time it will indicate, the lie detector will indicate that that's true. However, 30% of the time it'll get it wrong. If you're lying, okay, 70% of the time it'll catch it and 30% of the time it won't. So now up here, in order to fill out the probability tree, what we do is we just multiply these together. And so in this case, we multiply the probability of the individual branches here, the legs, branch of the tree here, to get the overall. And this is going to be 0.63. Okay, this will be 0.27. This will be 0. Actually, I want to make sure, I can double check that here. All of a sudden I'm having a brain fart. This will be 0.03. And this will be, 0.1 times 0.7, yeah. Now, when you add those all up, those should add up to 100%. And they do. Okay, so that's been filled in correctly here. So, anyway, so 63, what this is saying here, 63% of the time, you'll tell the truth and the machine will catch you doing that. Okay? So, question B here. Find the probability that an average person is telling the truth given that the polygraph test indicates the truth. Okay, so this is a conditional probability problem. So this is the probability of, find the probability that the average person is telling the truth. So let's say telling the truth given that what we're getting here, the polygraph text indicates. So we'll say polygraph indicates the truth. So this is going to be, okay, according to our formula here, the probability of telling the truth and the polygraph test saying that it's indicating the truth over the probability that the polygraph test indicates the truth. Now, this is very easy to do if you've got the probability tree in front of you, because the probability of telling the truth and the test saying that you're telling the truth is this branch right here, 0.63. So 0.63. Now, but the probability that the polygraph test says that you're telling the truth, that's a little bit more complicated, and just a little bit more complicated. That's going to be this branch right here together with this branch right here. So 0.63 plus 0.03, and we'll just quickly do that on the calculator. We'll get 0.63 divided by, essentially 0.66, and we'll get that this is 0.95. So 95% of the time, the person will be telling the truth given that the test has indicated the truth. Now let's take a quick look at the last part of this question here. It says, assume criminals are truthful 15% of the time. Okay, so fair enough, there we go. Find the probability that a criminal is lying given that the polygraph test indicates truth. Okay, so now we got to go through and build the new table here. But again, you'll see how the table makes this a much easier question. So the criminal tells the truth 15% of the time, which means they are lying 85% of the time. However, the polygraph is still going to be as accurate as it was before. So if you're telling the truth, it'll catch it 70% of the time. If you're lying, it'll catch it 30% of the time. If you're lying, it'll get it wrong 30% of the time, but it'll get it right 70% of the time. And so now, to figure out these probabilities, we simply multiply. So 0.15 times 0.7 So this will be 0.105. 0.15 times 0.3, 0.045, those are quite low. Now this is going to be substantially larger. 0.85 times 0.3, this will be 0.255, and 0.85 times 0.7, 0.595. Now I'm just gonna add these all up to make sure that they add up to 1. Just to make sure that that's correct. And they do add up to 1, so that's all correct here. So now what we want to do is figure out the probability that a criminal is lying. So the probability that the person is lying, given that the polygraph test indicated that they were telling the truth. So this is going to be the probability of lying and the polygraph test saying that you're giving the truth over the polygraph test saying that you're giving the truth here. Now, lying and the polygraph test saying you're telling the truth here, lying and the truth is going to be 0.255. Okay? Probability test telling us that you're telling the truth here is going to be 0.105 plus 0.255. And now I'll go to the calculator. 0.255 divided by 0.105 plus 0.255. And we get 0.7, well, I'll just round it, 0.71. So 71% of the time, when the thing tells you that, when the polygraph test tells us that you're telling the truth, turns out that criminal is actually lying.